So, you join us in Sardinia, an island off the coast of Italy in the Mediterranean Sea. And the video for the Aston Martin Vanquish is going to start in just a second, but because it's a V12, we thought we'd celebrate and tease you with something.
Yep, coming up soon is the first episode of the second ever full Throttle House adventure, and it features 2 V12s.
That we bought.
Yes.
Stupidly.
Yeah.
And they keep breaking.
You think spending $500,000 on this is a bad idea? Nope. It's spending 12 grand on 2 old V12s. Yeah.
Yeah, the Vanquish will vanquish all of its enemies, but we have chosen to vanquish all of our brains.
This is why we write things down before
we never write things down.
We probably should.
Did it roll the banner? Do they?
You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas. And I'm James.
Every word I'm moving, descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who got this.
And this, the Aston Martin V12 Vanquish.
I got facts over tricks. This and that, spitting slow, speaking fast. I can roast, I can gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're with my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off with me, this ain't a humble brag. I want you to.
The Aston Martin Vanquish. The real deal, the big wig, the dog's cojones, the one that Aston Martin prizes as their halo car. And it is, if you ignore the Valkyrie, and the Valhalla, and the Victor, and the Valor. But this isn't as limited as those. They're gonna make 1,000 of these a year. Compared to its siblings, the wee baby Vantage and the DB12 middle child, this reigns as king, with 4 more cylinders, a profile so good that it's completed Tinder, and the wheelbase of a super yacht.
You can count how many new 2-door V12s can be purchased on one hand these days, but considering this costs the same as the GDP of Madagascar, is just being part of that group enough, as Aston claims, for it to vanquish all its enemies. Well, thanks to Pelote, who have supported this video, and whose driving shoes we have been happily living with, traveling with, and driving with, today we get to find out.
About the new Vanquish. The first is it's stupidly quick. 824 horsepower from a 5.2 litre twin turbocharged V12. 738 pound-feet of torque. There is just torque. See, that's ridiculous speeds. What is a Sardinian prison like? Asking for a friend. I don't normally care about the top speed of a car. This does 214 miles an hour. It's almost so irrelevant, except in this car, it reaches those speeds so quickly that it's not a boasting number anymore. It's just a need-to-know basis. It's monstrous. They quote a 3.2 second to 60 time, but you hit that so fast, it's what happens afterwards that matters in this, because it just pulls and pulls and pulls. And right now, where it's slightly damp, it reminds you that you are in a rear-driven sports car. And those numbers are impressive, and they are class-leading, which is what Aston Martin love to boast about. But they consider the differential cylindry from Ferrari the competitor here. And yeah, it's got 5 horsepower less, but it also weighs significantly less. This is a 3,900 pound dry weight quoted, so into the 4,000s for curb. And the DG cylindry does it all without the addition of 2 turbos, which despite in this car creating a really warm, really expensive sound, it isn't wild. It doesn't scream like the Ferrari. It doesn't slap like the DBS we drove a couple of years ago. It just feels very refined, very Aston Martin. And if you want to just rev this out and be a lunatic at a stoplight, it doesn't really make any crazy sounds. It's just... yeah, turbochargers. There's going to be some sacrifice there, and that's in the sound department. However, that is still an incredibly enjoyable experience. So they've done what they can to make it feel linear enough that it's fun to run through the gears. But there is just torque everywhere. And Aston said they've done something quite special to achieve that. This Aston Martin has something called Boost Reserve. Imperceptible to the driver, says Aston. It's a system that restricts intake flow to build boost pressure in the background during things like partial throttle, so that at the appropriate moment, when you want it, it gives you everything immediately.
That cut, it's good.
Okay.
Check your mic battery.
It's sort of like the guy on a date who's, you know, the Brussels sprouts are starting to act up, but he's
Yeah.
got to wait for her to leave, and he's been holding it in.
It's like a sphincter.
yeah,
clench,
yeah,
right?
everywhere.
Yeah, I did that last night.
So theoretically, if I sort of stay half throttle here, then it's doing that magic thing, and then I go. Yeah, I might just have to take Aston's word for it. Maybe I was wrong to expect Boost Reserve to be a magical special turbo lag eliminator, but everything feels exactly like what I would expect a modern 738 pound-feet turbocharged V12 to be. Nothing more, nothing less. Also not on the highlight list is the ZF transmission in this, because this 8-speed, it's a bit dull. It's a bit dull. You know, on downshifts it doesn't do anything particularly exciting. On upshifts, there's sort of a bit of chatter from the exhaust, which is titanium in this spec. But really, upshifts aren't that quick. Downshifts aren't that quick. However, if you are using it in just GT mode, and you're not being a lunatic in the Sardinian hills in Sport Plus and manual, it really is, that's where this transmission makes sense. Because compared to a dual clutch, it is a lot more refined. So they've chosen that, and I think that's probably a solid Aston Martin decision. That is fart out of the side of your mouth fast. Not an honour many cars get to wear.
That engine's pretty crazy, isn't it? But what's even crazier, what James didn't mention, is that V12 is all new. Well, I'm sure there's some engineering carryover, but Aston Martin has engineered a new V12. It's 2024. What are they doing? That's insane. It seems like these days everything is going to 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder hybrids. A V12 is rare. Even the new Ferrari hypercar is a V6. This has a new V12. But not only does it have a new V12, unlike the DB12, which shared the DB11's chassis from before, this, underneath, is an all-new car. All right, you have to understand, there's sports cars and there's GT cars. Sports cars are supposed to be deft and light and nimble, and GT cars are meant to be big and powerful and fast and comfortable. But nowadays, everybody seems to want to just combine everything together, make everything do everything, and often it doesn't work. This is not one of those times, because the Vanquish is fan-flippin-tastic. There's so many systems in a modern car like this, all working together all the time, doing a gazillion calculations. There's brakes, suspension, differentials, engine, transmission. Everything's working together, and someone's had to sit there on a computer and test it and try and make it all feel a certain way, depending on what mode you're in. And sometimes that doesn't always work. Sometimes they miss some calculations somewhere, so to speak. but everything seems to just be so dialed in this car. I can't. I'm trying to make it misstep, and I can't. It's doing every single thing that I want it to do. For example, this has a new limited slip differential compared to the old Vanquish. It's electronic. It locks up electronically, and it can lock up like that, which means I'm getting this kind of BMW M car rear end feel, where the rear just kind of kicks out quite predictably and exactly in line with my foot. And then you can do some really funky stuff when you use that differential to change the way the car turns as you're decelerating into a corner. So it can make it feel smaller than it is. It's huge. Have you seen it? It's not a light car, but it does not feel that heavy. The steering is predictable. Adds weight as you load up the tires into the corner. It's not talking to me too much, but just like the DB12, I think it's the right amount of communication for a big GT car like this. And the suspension is fantastic. I'm in Sport Plus mode right now. And for a smooth Italian mountain road like this, it's just wonderful. Soaks up the bumps, lets a little bit of weight transfer happen, but it's not harsh at all. And then we were cruising on the highway with it on the way here in GT mode, and the ride is good. It is exactly what I expect for a car like this. And as James said, it's really fucking quick, this car, really, really is. And I have yet to tire of the sound of that V12. I think this exactly perfectly splits the difference between a 12-cylinder Ferrari and a big Bentley GT car. It is very much an Aston Martin. I feel cool.
You are cool. You just rolled up in a illuminite silver Aston Martin Vanquish in Sardinia. You're in a Bond film.
Oh my God, it just feels so good to hear all those words said at me.
Except not the Bond film that actually happened in Sardinia. That's a Lotus Esprit.
That was a Lotus.
Yes.
Okay.
But I've realised why everyone's driving so fast, by the way.
Yeah, we're in Italy.
No, but there's no motorways on the island of Sardinia.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they're just, everything's a motorway. When nothing's a
That
motorway.
makes sense. There's a lot of pent-up energy.
It's pent up, exactly like the turbo system in this car.
Yes, waiting to be released.
I've learned some more facts about Sardinia, unrelated to Aston Martins. So, highest rate of centenarians. I think I got that word right.
Yeah, it's a blue zone.
It's a blue zone.
It's a blue
so
zone.
Super healthy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the most amount of people over 100, and then anywhere else in the world.
That's pretty crazy.
Which means it's
Well,
safe.
you want to know why? Because it's like nice and calm
No
and
stress.
relaxing. You know what it is there's no motorways. That's the reason. The stress from motorways.
Correlational or causal?
We don't know. Anyway, can I say that there's a difference between a Ferrari and an Aston Martin? Very, very much. Other than the obvious things, like the screaming nature of it. Just that if you roll up in a Ferrari and you roll up in an Aston Martin, the perception of the person that you are is different. I won't elaborate any more than that.
We don't say these things on Throttle House. We don't go into that.
but if you roll up in this, everyone's like, that's a cool chap.
Disagree.
Whoa.
I think a Roma, Ferrari Roma, has the same vibe.
Yeah, but if you were
and the same side profile in some ways.
I know,
remove that little vent, and that's a Roma side profile.
I agree.
Slash RX Vision.
We'll talk about the side profile in a second because it's extremely long and there's a lot to talk about. It'll take a while, actually. If you were at a gala.
A gala?
Gala.
You say gala?
Yeah, you say gala. It's how it
doesn't sound as fancy.
Okay, we're here at a gala. No, that sounds weird. It sounds like you're saying garlic. Anyway, there would be a Roma. There would be a Vanquish.
Yes.
There would be a Bentley Continental.
You don't think a Temerario or a...
No, I don't think so. I don't think a Revuelto belongs there. It's too...
I'm picturing a high-heeled leg coming out of a Revuelto.
You can't elegantly get out of a Revuelto, but you can elegantly get, because the doors go up a little bit.
Doors do go up
so it's easy to step out, and then you pass the keys to the valet and go, thank you, sir. Right? You see, it's James, it's so cool.
But the Vanquish...
I don't say this very often, but this badge carries a lot of class for me.
I agree. I
Yes.
agree, and this one's got the black badging, which is even classier.
Classier.
But the Vanquish has more enemies to vanquish than just its competitors, because you need to be able to justify this over a DB12 or a Vantage. And now they all have a very similar front end with this absolutely gaping mouth.
Gaping is the word. You can actually see where it should end. See where it curves and it's a little bit convex this way, it should stop there.
Yeah, which is where the previous gen stops.
And we asked Aston Martin, so why is it so big? And they're like, you needed more air.
It needs the air.
To cool the engine.
It's a big engine.
It's a really big engine, yeah.
But we do have these gills here, which look quite wonderful. And I've learned in the past, the more grills there are on the hood of an Aston Martin, the more aggressive it is.
That's true. Yes.
So if there is ever a Vanquish S, I'm sure there'll be like
there'll be another one right
complimentary
here.
ones.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I think this is just other than I agree the grill's a little bit too big.
The front end lets it down just slightly.
But the thing is that you kind of look at it from here, right? And I can't really see the grill from here. It's the way the nose comes down here, and then the straight line that goes right along the side here, blending into the haunch with the roof. It's
a big old haunch.
Profile. Oh my God, this is a good-looking car.
And then the rear is particularly unique. This is
Yes.
where it really differs. Like, if I see this in traffic, I'd be like, is that the DB12?
Yeah.
From the front, but then from the rear, you've got this
It's very, very different. This is kind of like Valhalla.
Valkyrie
Valkyrie
tail lights, and then this is their shield they've got here.
And you can option this in a different color.
Yeah, we've got it in carbon fiber, but
Yeah.
it can come in a contrasting color. And I've seen some wacky options on the website.
Yeah, I'm not sure I would do anything else other than that because I think that looks good.
And I asked them, I was like, what if I want a purple exterior with yellow? And they said they won't limit buyers. They'll, whatever you want to do.
Now you say that, but then the guy that's painting it's going to be like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, but it's an English bloke. He doesn't care. He just knocked back 3 beers.
Speaking of an English bloke, let's take a look at the engine, right? Right.
Oh, V12, carbon fiber, nice bracing.
That's
a brace.
fully Aston Martin engine as opposed to an AMG V8.
Right, but it still gets a plaque.
Yes, final inspection by Spencer Creeman.
Yeah. So apparently he was called Spencer Smith. And
Then
when
he started working on V12 Aston Martin engines, and
and
that just happened.
he started creaming.
Yeah. This is cool as well. This like extra bit of like, forged carbon. I don't know.
Non-woven.
Sure.
Non-woven.
Non-woven. We don't know if it's forged or not.
That's not the word, is it? Non-woven.
No.
Technically true though.
Yeah.
Not as strong, but lightweight.
Yes. Carbon fiber hood. Very
Yeah.
cool.
So we got. I mean, it's weird because as you said, this is a cool car. You rock around and you feel cool in.
Yeah.
There's some performance chops going on. Like we have carbon ceramic brakes as standard, which have not been difficult or squeaky or
No, they've
weird.
been really, really nice actually.
And they've held up to our aggressive canyoning.
Canyon's so hard.
What's weird is the DB12 got PSS 5s from Michelin. They've gone with
Yes.
Pirellis for this because apparently it prioritizes ride comfort
And
still,
noise levels.
Yeah, and still gets the performance they need.
Yeah. Just back 1 second to the way that this drives.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree that we agree it's perfectly dialed in, right? Like
Yeah.
in terms of like the suspension and the way everything, there's nothing that's like wrong about it.
Some cars betray the way they look. This
Yes.
drives exactly how it looks.
It drives exactly like you think it would, except it's probably a bit faster than you think it is because it's really friggin' fast. But it is let down a little bit by the transmission. The more time I spent with it,
Yeah, it's just slightly dim-witted when you're not trying to control it, and when you are trying to control it, it's slow. And
It's
like there were quite a few moments, and you might have even seen it when I was doing the review, where you hit red line because you're trying to time the red line, and you like
That's definitely a low point.
It's like a
but
broken
what
body.
isn't a low point is the interior. Can we look?
Yes. Forest green.
Forest green. Actually, there's 3 places for it because there's 3 places you can option to be different.
Right.
Headliner, Zone A, and Zone B, whatever that is. I can't.
Environment 1
I
and
can't-
Environment 2.
Sorry, right.
Call it by its real name.
I'm sorry. And I can't know what the different environments are because everything's been optioned with a forest green, which isn't a bad thing. 'Cause it's classy.
We've also got black chrome jewellery accents,
Yep.
carbon fibre weave.
Yeah.
This they're very proud about, the panoramic roof.
Yep.
That means more, I think, when there are rear seats, and there cannot be options.
Yeah, because I can't see it right now. It's
Yeah,
completely
it's
pointless to me.
It's just here.
Yeah.
If I sit back, I can enjoy it, but then it didn't need to be panoramic.
Right. I didn't need to go all the way back.
And then it could be lighter.
Yeah.
Like it's 500-pound lighter competition, the DG Slingy.
I think that the interior of this, other than being very similar to the DB12 and now the DBX and all Aston Martins, is beautiful.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, very nice.
It's just classy. The leathers are super high quality. This is nice. Real buttons to use. This little bit
Apart from
right
heated
here.
and cooled, which are capacitive.
Yes. Well, they have a click to them though. No, they don't.
They don't.
No, they don't. That's a loud seat.
It's loud, but it is nice. It is
is
effective.
nice.
You can be
Yeah.
loud and effective. You can't